So sometimes there are things that you predict that you wish you got wrong. Unfortunately, this one has come true, and I'm not happy about it at all. So what we're talking about is here is just a number of people who are dying. And I'm going to give you some sources here. So the media in Finland, I think, has been a lot more open about what's going on than I take a look at the Daily Mail and sometimes maybe the Guardian and the BBC. It's just not being reported over there. So anyway, I'm going to flash up screenshots and talk about the articles. Obviously, the ones in Finnish, I'll translate them for you, and I'll start off with the first one of these articles now. So I'll show you the screenshot. It's from a newspaper called Ilta Sanomat. So that's one of the two main daily newspapers in Finland. So the headline reads, "Record number of people died in Finland in a week. Expert assesses what is going on." So Statistics Finland, that's the equivalent of our Office for National Statistics, announced on Friday, that's the Friday just gone, this article was published on the 9th, that the number of deaths during weeks 45 to 47. In Finland, what they tend to do is that they refer to particular weeks. So the first week after New Year is week 1. So the last 3 weeks, weeks 45 to 47, deaths have been remarkably high. And there's a picture of this guy called Lasse Lentonen, and a picture of a funeral going on. And the article says fatalities in Finland have risen significantly recently, according to Lasse Lentonen, director of diagnostics at HUS. HUS is like the equivalent of this body that represents the health sector in Finland. A key factor in the recent high mortality rate is likely to be Divock 91. Obviously, they're not going to tell you what the real cause is, but they say Divock 91. If we looked at the mortality figures for 2022, about 7% of all deaths were caused by Divock. Well, obviously, he can't know that at all. It's because they were doing the same thing as what they were doing in Britain. It was all deaths up to 28 days after a positive PCR were attributed to deaths caused by with Divock. Since I'm not going to say this word, but it's the small v, the things that you can't see, right? It's been this v word has been circulating since autumn, and there've been lots of people encountering these little V's. Not the Britney Spears, the other little V's. The proportion of Divock will probably be at least the same as last year, probably a little more. So what's interesting? This Lettonen estimates. So what's interesting here, first off, is the peasants here in Finland who went to the Britney Spears and the Boosters concert. Many of them have been 4 or 5 times, but it doesn't really seem to be protecting them from Divock. Statistics Finland announced on Friday that the number of deaths during weeks 45 to 47, was remarkably high. As I said, the number of deaths was the highest in the entire, I can't use this word, but people's pantomime. So it was amounted to 1,225 people dying, and that was the highest since 2020. It can be estimated that the number of deaths in week 47 will certainly rise to a new record. Markus Rapo, chief actuary at Statistics Finland, said in a press release on Friday. The figures for weeks 45 to 47 will still be updated as more data are stored in the population registry system. And anyway, this Lettonen guy, he waffles on a little bit about Divock. And this is the funny bit. He goes, well, the number of the reason why we've got loads of people dying from the deadly Divock even though they're not really doing the testing anymore. They're just attributing all the people dying. They're just saying, "Oh, they must have died of Divot." He says that this year's tour by Britney Spears and the Boosters started too late, and if it had happened earlier, then there would have been fewer people dying. Now, again, he's falling for this logical fallacy that I've told you about before, that time can't be replayed. No one would know how many people would die had the tour been brought forward. And more people would have gone to the concerts. My guess would be, if that had have happened, if we could replay time and allow that to happen, there'd be even more people dying. Anyway, so he kind of regrets this, and that's his explanation. Now, what's interesting is in Ilta Sanomat, they don't allow readers' comments. However, they do post up articles on Facebook. And what was very, very interesting on Facebook was just the sheer number of Finns who just laid into it. And they were basically saying, that there is record numbers of people dying. And it's the Britney Spears concert tours that's the problem. What's also interesting here is it's unclear as to what this record high mortality rate actually is. Is this an all-time high record, or is it just since 2020? I think there's a very good chance that it's an all-time high record, because I think they would say that otherwise. The other thing to say as well is that a number of newspapers in Finland have been covering this story about record numbers of people dying in Finland, and when comments have been allowed, it's just been complete one-way traffic. The second bit of data that I'm going to show you is from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, and it's the number of people in America's workforce who have a disability, who are over the age of 16 and over. So obviously it's over 16s, because it's only over 16s that are part of the workforce. So I'll flash that up on the screen now. So can you see that something must have happened right at the very beginning of 2021, because there's a very, very sharp rise in the number of people in America who are of working age who are reporting having a disability. So I wonder what that is. Obviously we know in all probability what it almost certainly is, and it's tragic. Oh, the other thing as well, just from me, from an economist's point of view, is that this will obviously have impacts on the economy, on the supply side. A lot of people are dying, and then also you've got a lot of people who are disabled. This will reduce the economy's ability to produce goods and services. So that's quite bullish for inflation. I'd be expecting more inflation, because basically, even if they don't print more money, if there's a decline in the volume of goods, the average price level will rise. That's just simple economics, because there'll be just as much money, probably more money, because they'll keep on printing, chasing fewer goods. So that will drive the average price level up. So that's all. The last bit of data relates to Britain, and it's been published quite widely in Finland. The data comes from the Office for National Statistics, the ONS, which is the UK's official data source. It's the official source that's collected by government, and it relates to excess deaths. And the excess deaths are broken down by all sorts of things, including there's even a category for people who haven't been to any of the Britney Spears and the Boosters concerts. And you can see that there's some very different health outcomes according to whether people were Britney Spears and the Boosters fans, or whether they weren't. And you can draw your own conclusions from this. The only other thing that I would say about this is that I'm very skeptical of official government data because I'm distrustful of the government. I've also seen how corruptible various professions have been in the UK, so why not the ONS as well? And then the other thing that I would say is the whole idea of excess deaths. It's unreliable. I believe it to be, let's say, what could I say here without being accused of something that might get this video taken down? Well, I think all data should be scrutinised carefully, and particularly data that's been partially processed. Let's say that. For me, the truth will emerge, because people have said, oh, these excess deaths, they're calculated on a 5-year moving average, and 5 years after the people's pantomime, then we'll have a new normal, and then the excess deaths will drop to zero. And that of course is true, but the data that we need to be looking at here is just the raw total of the total number of people dying, all cause mortality, no statistical adjustments at all, none of this kind of excess death stuff, just raw total number of deaths. And that data it'll be just obvious what's happened. I think before the people's pantomime, about 500,000 people a year used to die from everything. So it will be interesting to see, well, if we're right here, what we'll actually see is similar to what's been recorded in Finland. If the raw death totals are publicised or produced by the ONS, then it will be obvious what's happened. And then also the other thing as well is that if the ONS refuses to produce statistics on the total number of deaths from all causes in the UK, then that in itself tells us that something really, really bad has happened. And yeah, that's all I want to say today. So it's very sad what's happened. People like us, we did try to warn people. I believe in free will, you see, so I'm a Christian. I don't believe in I would never have been in favour of preventing people who wanted to, of their own free will, to go to the concerts. So that would be up to them, just as if somebody wants to drink 3 bottles of whiskey every day, I wouldn't do that. But if somebody wants to do that, then that's up to them as far as I'm concerned. So I'm anti-coercion, basically, and what happened. It should be just a free choice. And people, they were warned, and it's all very sad. And the other thing to say, I guess, is that just there's some things that you just can't come back from. Like, once it's in, it's in, isn't it? Some things you can't take out again. So that's all I want to say today. So God bless.